of Zero Blog 30. Today we're going to be talking about a bunch of things. One, I'm sure whenever you logged into the podcast, if you're on the audio version, you saw that it's like 3 hours long or something like that. And there's a reason why. The big reason why is that at the end of the show where Kate's on, me, Cons, Rudy, White Sox Dave, Chief, a bunch of Nikki Smokes, a bunch of other people have come into the office with us, and they are doing a breakdown of Masters of the Air. Now, this isn't something that I don't really think has a whole lot of spoilers yet. Primarily what Cons and I have done is gone through the show and then give realistic examples of how that type of thing happens. We give our example. It's probably the most intensive combat conversations Cons and I have had since we've done the show, maybe on episode 15. Like, we haven't dove into combat stuff in a long time like we did here. So you might enjoy listening to that if you like that kind of thing. And if you stick around with us for the war stories, we're going to talk about that. That's like 2 hours long at the end of the show. But right now we're going to get into one of the topics that really blew my mind this week. And it's something that I haven't talked about. I heard about, and we've actually had experience here at Barstool. It's swatting. And do you guys know what swatting is? You probably do, since I sent out the sheet.
Well, I mean, I know because I read the sheet, but had I not read that, I had never really heard that term.
I know
what it is.
23-year-old Kate, when I went to the bars, it was swatting the boys away. It was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thought you were going to say you've been smacking them cheeks on different fellas all across the globe.
Oh, that's not swatting. That's slamming.
No. Nope, not you getting cheek slammed. You slapping other people's cheeks.
Oh, pardon me. I said, that's bold, chaps.
Yeah, I would never. That's like that one time on the ad read, and you were like, do you have a coin purse? And you're like, talking about pussy?
You were talking about just a coin purse, it turns out.
Yeah, I was.
Which, quite literally.
Still one of my favorite moments on the show. So swatting, we're going to get into it just to give you a quick definition, I guess. Swatting is when somebody on the internet is trolling or really causing great harm to somebody else by sending either the FBI or a local police department by saying there's a kid in danger inside the house, there's a spouse in danger somewhere in the house. It's creating false reports to make that there's a huge response from law enforcement, whether that be federal or on the local level. But there's been some that have been extreme, and maybe the most extreme case I have ever seen happen today or this week. I saw the most extreme one. Kate, do you want to walk us through what's going on with this swatting story?
Yeah, and I believe, I don't recall the details, Barstool's dabbled.
Yeah, with Devlin, I think.
Yeah, somebody here has dabbled in that from time to time. Anyway, it's not great, not good. For 18 months, a teenager allegedly operated a swatting service out of his father's California home, where criminals could call in a hoax bomb threat or mass shooting almost as easily as ordering a burger on UberEats. Alan Winston Filion, 17 years old, is suspected of targeting hundreds of high schools, mosques, historically black churches, U.S. senators, and even the U.S. Supreme Court, with swatting attacks that placed thousands of people in the crosshairs of heavily armed police response teams. This makes me terrified. I have 2 boys. And people say in the teenage years, you think you know your kids, but you have no idea what those little rascals are up to.
You really don't. I mean, not that my kid's involved in swatting, but she's 18 and a half years old now. On a normal basis, I have no idea what she's doing.
You'd think she's on her MySpace and she's running a cartel, you just don't know. These rascally kids. Prosecutors say the 6'3" teenager advertised his services under the pseudonym Torswats on the encrypted messaging app Telegram, charging as little as $40 to get someone's gas shut off. $50.
I'm glad that your face just looked shocked too. I was like, $40 fucking dollars?
I hate to say it, that's a great deal.
It really is.
I guess for the person using the services, but geez, if you're willing to go to jail, you better be charging more than $40. And also, why does it matter that he's 6'3", by the way? Why is that?
I think it's because typically when you deal with somebody like that, you assume that they're a tiny little weenie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. True.
Like an internet troll, you think they're like 5'7", 5'8", never got any puss in their life. And so they resort to doing all kinds of nefarious things on the internet. And the bomb threat aspect of this, Kate, you might be a little young for this. First time I've said that in a while. You might be a little young for this part.
Okay.
But Cons, was there a bunch of bomb threats in your school shortly after 9/11? Was that a thing for you?
No,
Shortly
not at
after
all.
Columbine was
Yeah.
when I was in high school, Columbine started a rash of these things across the country. And several times we had to go, they would herd us all to the stadium.
Yep.
It was weird. They would herd us all into a small group together in a small
Exactly.
space.
Yeah.
But it was bomb threats would get called into the schools after Columbine kind of started that whole thing, I feel like.
Oh, big. That's exactly when it was, Kate.
Yeah.
Like it was around 1998 whenever that happened. And I remember being a sophomore or junior in high school, and they would call our parents, and it would be like the automated line and be like, there's a bomb threat currently at Tate High School.
Yeah.
And you didn't have cell phones. Nobody had cell phones where they could text their parents. There'd be long lines of parents outside the gates of the school thinking that the kids might come running out. It was a terrifying situation to be in. Like nobody, and that was before 9/11. You weren't thinking about any types of attacks or bombs or anything like that going off. So hundreds of schools, if it's your first time, second time, especially dealing now with mass shootings all over the place, terrifying.
Yeah.
Just terrifying.
Very terrifying. So $40 to get someone's gas shut off, $50 for a major police response, and $75 for a bomb threat, mass shooting threat.
That
Which
menu
again,
doesn't make any sense.
like you
It's
said,
No.
crazy. Mr. Filion would then post chilling audio of the 911 calls on Telegram as proof of purchase, according to court documents. So it's kind of like ordering a cameo, but for terror and almost getting people killed. Among the hundreds of SWATs that Torswats allegedly claimed credit for were multiple hoax callouts at the home of Patrick S Tomlinson. He was is a Milwaukee-based sci-fi author who says he has been swatted dozens of times in the past 4 years as part of a targeted harassment campaign by a group of sociopathic stalkers. So, the dark web, all these different, it's not, what's like the dark version of Reddit, like all these different spaces.
Oh, Telegram.
QAnon?
People hang out, and
Telegram?
Oh, 4chan.
a lot of these groups have honed in on this guy and have made his life essentially a living hell. You can't fathom the amount of clinical obsession that grips these people, Mr. Tomlinson told The Independent. Trying to destroy my world is their full-time lives. Mr. Tomlinson told The Independent he had awoken in the middle of the night to find officers banging on his door. He had been handcuffed, had guns shoved in his face during the years-long ordeal. He was once swatted 4 times in one day. Okay?
It just, I mean, if you read this in a series that Netflix was coming out with 4 times in one day.
Yep.
From
Crazy.
the same police department.
And because they can't handle the liability if one of these is true.
Right.
And so Mr. Filion has not been charged in relation to the SWATs on Mr. Tomlinson's home. And investigators believe there's at least 2 individuals behind the Torswats account. The FBI, Milwaukee Police, and Seminole County Sheriff's Office in Florida, where the teen is facing 4 felony counts, declined to provide further info beyond an extensive account of Mr. Filion's activities in a probable cause charging document. After Mr. Filion was arrested on the 18th of January at his home in Lancaster, Los Angeles County, Mr. Tomlinson said he and his wife, Nikki, had their first decent night of sleep in years. But guess what? Short-lived, because it turns out Mr. Filion wasn't working alone. A new Telegram channel named Torswats Return was created by someone claiming that their partner has been arrested, according to posts viewed by The Independent. Different ball of wax here, but this reminds me of every time the tip of the spear account would get shut down when I was in the Marines, and you're like, oh, thank God. And then just the tip of the spear too.
That's for the Marines United, right?
Yeah, there's little things like that. Every time you thought that you were out of the woods, they'd just come back again.
I'm sorry. What was that website? What was that?
Oh, it was accounts, all these accounts back when I was in that were aimed at messing with the lives of military women. They would stalk them, threaten them, post all kinds of horrible stuff about them, share their nudes, blah, blah, blah. Different ball of wax, but like, just.
And it went on for several years.
Every time you think it was shut down, you get a notification that like the new one was back up and you're like, no, fuck. The channel stated that it would continue offering SWATs for as little as $40 and offered returning customers a discount. It also posted derogatory photographs and texts about Mr. Tomlinson, noting that there would be no charges for requested SWATs against him. So they're like, we'll SWAT this guy for free now. So it came back worse than ever for him. And of course, SWATs to Patrick are free, said the Telegram message. On January 31st, Milwaukee Police Department sent officers to Tomlinson's home after receiving a hoax report of a shooting at the address. That was the 47th time.
47
Jeez.
times, man.
Yep.
And it's all primarily
absurd.
from the same police department.
Yep, it's just farcical at this point, Mr. Tomlinson told The Independent. Nobody told them this happened 46 previous fucking times. And you'd think at this point, too, the police department would be like, okay, let's put a moratorium on SWAT responses to this guy. Like, at this point, like, I know you could be held liable for XYZ, but, like, come on now.
But you also got to believe as a police department, like same thing with the Taylor Swift stalker. Like you have so many different threats. You have to respond to them, because what happens if one of the times they get swatted with as many dangerous things as happen, as much as they've been targeted, and it's actually something's going on, and that happens to be the first time that they don't respond? The police department's really in a no-win situation too.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty tough. I won't stop until one of them die, a message posted to the channel on the 6th of January stated, referring to Mr. Tomlinson. And again, you're right. Swatting is dangerous because say you're getting swatted, you have no idea, and you answer your door with something in your hand, totally confused, and a nervous cop takes you out.
Dude, like, it's happened several times in
Yes.
the United States over the past couple of years, where somebody will come in, they'll create this nonsensical story. The cops come in believing it, that somebody's in danger, and then there's somebody that matches the description that is causing the danger. They come in and they make mistakes, like a tactical mistake that ends up with somebody dying. And I firmly believe that if that happens, you should be not charged with like communication murder or anything like that. Straight up murder.
Yeah.
I think it should be straight up murder that you're charged with.
Yep. The very first time he got swatted, it kind of echoed the Pizzagate thing, where someone called the cops and was like, this Tomlinson guy, here's his address. He's got children in his, like he's kidnapping, yada, yada, grinding them down to make pepperoni kind of thing. And cops came busting through. The harassers flooded his book sale, because again, this guy's a sci-fi author. They flooded his book sale sites on Amazon and Goodreads with bogus 1-star reviews. Security cameras captured stalkers defacing his house and his motorcycle. So they're like coming to his home. In another cruel move, the group also posted audio on YouTube of Mr. Tomlinson screaming in frustration as he's being swatted. He reported the group's obsessive harassment to the police and the FBI in May of 2020. And he said a special agent from the Milwaukee field office was assigned to look into the case, but he hasn't heard hardly anything back. That's insane.
It really is, man.
Like all
this
these
whole
people know his life's getting ruined and no one's helping him.
And when you feel like there's no end in sight, right? Like you've been going through this over the course of years, 47 different times, you don't have the ability to feel safe in your home. That's gotta weigh so heavily on your mental health, like crazy.
I mean, you wake up every day and your stomach's in knots. And I think at some point or another, we've all had that feeling, whether it was going to a job where you didn't like your boss, or, you know, maybe you were out of work, so you were struggling to make ends meet. Everybody's had that feeling. It's a horrible feeling. So to have it go on for that length of time, just horrible. And I think it bears mentioning that this is the sort of thing that often doesn't get mentioned when cops are in the news all the time, all the BS that they have to put up with. Because like you were saying, chaps, they have to respond to every call, because the one that they don't respond to, God forbid something happens, they're going to be held liable. They're going to be in trouble. They're going to have that on their conscience, and somebody finally got hurt. So it's just a messy situation from top to bottom.
Well, it wasn't just him that they went after. While she was attending her own grandfather's funeral, Mr. Tomlinson's wife discovered she had been impersonated by someone who sent racist emails to Black influencer Marvin Tolliver. So they were trying to get her. She had to answer to her workplace for this. She had to like whatever. And I'm sure neither of you could understand some weirdo on the internet going after your wife.
And I mean, you send that kind of message, and what's the most common response? That if somebody gets caught sending something racist or sexist or homophobic, it's I got hacked.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody believes it.
Right.
That comes out, I got hacked. Everyone believes it, like right away.
Yeah. April 2023, he was swatted 4 times in one day.
Outrageous.
I mean,
just simply outrageous.
On the
like, at what point do you
day,
just not like station a cop out in front of the front door? right?
Yeah, even still, the fourth SWAT of the day, they still 6 officers with assault rifles at his home. It's like, this is crazy.
And imagine being his neighbor. Like you're not driving 47 times SWAT guy. Like he's not coming to eat burgers at your house.
Yeah. Well, so he filed a lawsuit in 2020 to try and force the internet service provider Cloudflare to reveal the names of the individuals behind the website. The request to subpoena Cloudflare was denied by the Superior Court of California after a judge ruled it fell under the Communications Decency Act, which shields blogs and social media sites from problematic content on their platforms posted by third parties.
This is the part. The next sentence sent me through the fucking roof when I read it.
A judge then ordered Mr. Tomlinson to pay the anonymous blogger behind the website $23,700 in legal fees. That figure has ballooned to $50,000 with interest and penalties, and the group behind the blog is trying to bankrupt him and take his house now.
You know who would have written this story? This sounds like it. They wrote it. Stephen King. Like just an absolute nightmare situation.
Absolutely. And by the way, all of this started, they all began targeting him because he tweeted something about Norm Macdonald once that people didn't like. He said something like, he tweeted like, I just don't find Norm Macdonald that funny. And I loved Norm Macdonald. Hilarious, fantastical. One of the best comedic minds ever. I wouldn't ruin this guy's life over it, you know?
Right, yeah.
You know,
so
I need somebody, if they haven't already, I need somebody to do a study. All these people who are anonymous on the internet that exist strictly to be mean and say mean things and harass people, what's going on in their heads? There's got to be some sort of explanation for why so many people do this sort of thing. Now, what we're talking about in this story is obviously a much more severe example of that, but it all boils down to anonymously bullying and harassing. Like all of us, we see our tweets. Like there's always those people who just every day, if you look at all the tweets from the same person, it's always just ridiculously vile things. And you sit back and you think to yourself, what is wrong with this person? Yep. I need to know what's wrong with all these people on the internet.
Yep. You should go see any of the comments on a blog that I post. Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking ridiculous, man.
You should see when people hear a woman's voice on the yak. It's really, they really get upset. It's crazy.
You get a lot of awoogas, though, too.
I do. I can't complain. I'm very lucky.
I bet you're looking forward to those awoogas when you come back.
I'm looking a little rough these days. I better fix it up.
No, I think that'll gas you up, Kate. You'll get gassed up.
Okay. We'll see. But yeah, it's a fascinating, and there's been people who have gone and found and sat down and talked to their trolls, and it's never a happy story. Like the troll is never doing well.
Right. Yeah. They never look normal. They're always disheveled. They're typically like super greasy. They haven't washed or anything like that. But there is some good news. There has been some prosecutions of different folks that have been caught doing this through tracing of IP addresses and things like that. But if you're computer savvy enough, typically you're going to be computer savvy enough to get out of that as well for them not to be able to track you. We probably should have had Kyle on. He
knows all this stuff. He's
all this stuff. But I mean, there has been some arrest and convictions. There is one guy, one of the ones that we talked about, where the FBI came busting into the door, killed a guy. The dude that was behind that swatting got 20 years.
Oh shit!
Like, and there's been several other ones that were minor call-ins. I mean, quote, minor, that they were getting 5-10 years for some of that stuff too, which, I mean, you should, dude. Like if cops show up to your house and they got guns in your face, the threat of dying is there. If they make one wrong move, you should absolutely get a ton of time in prison, because
imagine if you have kids in the house.
Dude, yeah. Any of that stuff. Terrifying.
Crazy.
That's what you point too. It's not just the person. If every day you're seeing cop cars coming down your street, blaring their sirens as a neighbor, you're just thinking to yourself, when is this madness going to end?
Your
That's
home value.
So annoying. Yeah.
Then again, I feel like, in Catch Me If You Can, the FBI found out that Frank Abagnale was doing all these bad things or whatever, but they're like, but we like your mind and we're going to utilize you. And then he flipped to the FBI and he helped them catch scammers for a long time after that. What if we took guys like Filion or whatever, and we sent SWAT teams to I don't know, the president of Syria's house? Or, you know what I'm saying? What if we used him? What if we sent him to the
Or,
Taliban's hut and really
I mean,
messed
that
with
would be a
it?
good time too if we hired him. Like that seems like somebody that Dave would hire, somebody that has the ability to fuck with somebody. Like we have somebody that could hack into our emails. That would be a good time. Can you imagine how good Barstool Radio was if they got to get in our emails? It'd
Yeah.
be incredible content.
Absolutely. So I'm just saying, don't give anyone ideas, but
All right, let's cons. If you got I'm not going to say if you got swatted. What happened? What's going on with BetterHelp?
Well, as we know, Zero Black 30 is sponsored by BetterHelp.
and boy, do we
And I
need
think do we need it now more than
Yes.
ever? I think when people look at relationships, especially this day and age, can I speak? This day and age, it's purported to be perfect on social media, and everyone's like, "Oh, that looks easy." But I think that's a common misconception about relationships is that they have to be easy to be right. But sometimes the best ones happen when both people put in the work to make them great. And the place you can do that, therapy can be a great place to work through the challenges you face in all of your relationships, whether with friends, work, your significant other, or anyone. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And good news, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge for no reason at all. You can just switch. If you're not jiving with someone, go find someone new. So become your own soulmate this Valentine's Day, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit betterhelp.com/0 today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/0.
Mhm.
All right, so Kate has a little bit of a news roundup. What's going on, Kate?
I don't.
Oh, I saw Secretary Austin's back in the hospital, which he was actually in intensive care for a while, dealing with a bladder issue that he has. I mean, at one point, you hate to take somebody because of their physical condition, their
Yeah.
health, and all that stuff. But you're the Secretary of Defense, and there's a lot of conflict going on around the world. I mean, at some point, President Biden has to ask for or receive and accept a resignation, right?
Speaking of struggling physically and mentally, President Biden, I don't know, is the best guy to. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, he should accept it, and then he should give his to all the heads of the cabinet.
But yes, no, I see what you're saying. It's that's a tough look, and you also feel bad for him.
I feel terrible for Secretary Austin.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's a very important position, and we can't wait for somebody to come back from sick hall.
Also, emergent bladder issue. Drill instructors at Paris Island would have killed him for that.
Oh, yeah.
Can't be asking
Piss your pants, devil.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, this gentleman, I mean, he's given enough to this country. He's given, 40 plus years at this point? It's okay if he steps down now. You've done enough, sir. And also, I can't imagine dealing with a serious illness and doing it publicly. That's got to weigh on you a little bit, if not a lot. So I feel bad
with it with her back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully he gets better.
Yep. All right, let's move on to some save rounds and alibis. Cons, we'll start with you.
I actually do not have anything other than to say that as you stick around and listen to these episode recaps of Masters of the Air, just bear with us and remember that my opinion is
bad,
held in great esteem, and is a very good one.
Yeah, so if you like to hear Con shit on, definitely stick around for that. Katherine, do you have anything?
I do. Valentine's Day is upon us.
Oh.
And I just want to list a couple of things that I love about our U.S. military.
Okay.
Number 1, the troops.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I sure do.
Yeah.
Number 2, Air Force chow halls.
Oh, those are good. There was one on Lagman called the Blue Bonnet that was absolutely fire. Every day they had hamsters. Every day.
Yep. In Kyrgyzstan, they had king-size candy bars on the way to Afghanistan, and that made me, it was exciting, but it also made me think, do they know we're going to die?
That's probably where that unused $4.1 trillion for the defense budget went.
King-size candy bars over there.
Also, how do they spend $4.1 trillion? You don't know where it is. Trillion? That's not even a real number.
All
Like
I
$1
know,
trillion dollars.
when I went to physical security school, I accidentally booked my hotel wrong, and I had to pay for it with my own Lance Corporal money. Okay? Where's that accountability for these assholes? Huh?
Exactly right, Kate.
Another thing that I love, and bonk me if you must, gentlemen. Hot guys with, specifically, there's lots of hot guys with very strong jawlines in dress blues. We had a first sergeant. First Sergeant Hackett, shout out. He's a married guy, and I'm not hitting on him, but I'm just saying. And also, purple. He had the jawline and the dress blues. I was like, oh my god, this guy looks like a poster. He looks like, to me, when I'm like Marine. Holy shit, strong jawline in I guess any dress uniform. Ladies too. You could look like Jay Leno head ass lady for all I care.
Strong lady jaw,
badass in a dress uniform. Okay.
I mean, that's the reason why my wife is my wife.
Strong jawline, and she wears a dress blues around the house all the time. I don't know why.
Yes, she does.
Women in special forces gets me going. I fucking love it. I love the hate that it gets. I love how badass they are. I love all of it. Keep going, ladies. Personally, something I loved about being in the military, I've always been a 4. Okay, I know who I am. It just is what it is. In the military, I was a 7 pretty much the whole time. I really enjoyed that. All you had to do was spray yourself with a little country apple from Bath and Body Works.
But Afghanistan 8.5, right, Kate?
Oh my God, buddy, I was snapping necks, and I looked just like this, snapping necks over there. And
you had a tighter bun back in the day.
I had Madonna arms for a couple months there.
Oh,
okay, before she was like 80.
Way better than Rosie O'Donnell arms.
Okay, we need to find, because you've said Madonna arms, I don't know, maybe 20 times over the past 7 years. We need to find a better reference, because I feel like Madonna hasn't had Madonna arms since like 1988.
You're right. People are like, okay, you had saggy old white lady arms in the
Go with Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama's triceps popping.
Yeah, the good tricep. Anyways, I would be fucking lying if I said it wasn't a cool feeling. Okay, SIGs in the smoke pit with buddies. Whether in Afghanistan or stateside or training or whatever, sitting around with your buddies, smoking and joking and bitching about life. I feel like if we had more smoking and more smoke pits, maybe more zins, actually. A zin pit. But
Kate, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
It's Valentine's Day. You walk out to the smoke pit. There's a guy that's on his way to the Air Force chow hall. But first he's got to stop. And he's in dress blues, the strongest jaw. He stopped at the smoke pit. When you walk up, he's like, "Hey there, 7.5. Can I interest you in a Marlboro Light?"
Yes. Yeah, buddy. Absolutely. That's how I got
sneaking
married
in the old barracks, Katie.
How I got married the first time. Strong jawline, smoked like a chimney, that mother.
Yeah.
My God, I loved it.
Did you ever do cigarette pranks to people in uniform?
What do you mean?
My favorite prank to pull on junior Marines was I would smoke a cigarette, like put it out, and then take it and put it inside their sleeve, like inside, and they would stink so bad. Yep. Like it smells so bad. Like a day later, be like, "You nasty fucking thing. You didn't re-roll your sleeves." "I did, Sergeant, I did." Then why the fuck is there a cigarette butt in between there that I put in yesterday afternoon?
That's gross.
Oh!
Yep. Another thing, well, yes, and I just smelled like that in general when I was in. You get in trouble for that. Blind patriotism. Back in the day, now we're like, oh man, that's not great. Back in the day, do you know how many free drinks I got when I go home for Christmas?
None.
Well, I got about 3 or 4, and it was delicious. And finally, when a VA employee or someone assumes that I am the veteran, instead normally it's not like, is your husband, blah blah blah, and you're the when they're like, they look and they see how grizzled my body and my face are, and they're like, you are the veteran, and I appreciate that. But no,
you don't believe me? Just take an X-ray of my knees.
Yeah. But I feel like on here we're very critical sometimes of the military, as it's like I can shit on my brother, but you can't kind of thing, you know? We can do it because we love it and we whatever. But I do. There's so much that I love about the U.S. military, and those are some things. Happy Valentine's Day to all the troops, to all the ladies out there who are 4s but 7s. Yeah. This is weird. I made it weird.
Sorry,
you did make it weird.
I just remembered.
I'm all jacked up on ibuprofen. Sorry.
You are. Yeah.
Okay. We can cut that.
Just really quickly,
No.
congratulations, former Army football player, former ZBT guest, friend of the show, Cole Christensen, 2-time now Super Bowl champ, won Super Bowl for the Chiefs. No big deal.
Whoa.
Very cool, Cons. Cool.
I mean, do you? How many Super Bowl winners do you know?
I mean, a lot. I know several NFL athletes, so several.
Who do you know?
Jake Long, for one.
You know him personally?
Yes, we DM.
No, but he's the Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, twice. He won with the Patriots, and then the very next year he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles as a
You're talking
defensive
about
end.
Chris Long.
Yeah,
dude.
you got his name
You're
wrong.
talking about Chris
That was
Long. You don't even
you
know
got his name
dude,
wrong.
Chris
see,
Long.
You're
Oh my
lying.
God,
You don't
I
know
was
what
like,
you're talking about. You're lying.
Long.
You're lying. You're lying.
I
Oh
jumped
my
out of
God,
a
you
coat
guys
rack
kinda
to scare
lie.
Deion.
I, for one, am shocked that
Wow.
Cons is dropping names. I'll pull it up right now.
Wow, Chaps is lying. Chaps is lying.
Chris Long.
Jake
see.
Long, like you said. Oh,
Jake Long,
Tom's on
Chris
this.
Long.
All right, look, here's the messages.
Looks
The
pretty one-sided
messages.
to me.
Yeah, it does. That looks like a pretty big blue there. Jesus.
That's a big blue. What about that gray? What about that gray? So yeah,
We zoom in. It's like, Chaps, please stop
Mm.
messaging me.
Also, shock of the day, Cons trying to drop names. That wasn't about
Don't turn
fucking.
this on me.
That
Don't turn
wasn't
this on me that you
about
got
him.
caught in a lie.
That wasn't
Don't turn
about
this on
him.
me that you got
That
caught
was
in a
about
lie.
Cons being
No,
like,
you got
oh, I
caught in a
like
lie.
this guy. I like this guy. This guy's so cool.
He's my brother.
God.
He's my brother. So I'm not allowed
Now
to be
he's
happy
lying.
for my brother.
Not a real brother.
Yes, he is.
Nope, not real. Fake brother.
You would know about that.
Fake
You would know
brother.
about that. You didn't play sports past 4th grade.
I didn't I wasn't a place kicker. You're right. I don't really have anything at all either. I'm excited for you guys to listen to the wrap up of Masters of the Air. We're going to come back. We were supposed to record the next one today, but if you haven't been around the Barstool world, the guys were here for 17 hours shooting free throws. Like 3 of them were supposed to be on the show. So we're going to have to put that tomorrow. Next week, we'll put that one on. And then hopefully we'll be caught up. So on the Tuesday, you'll be able to listen to that at the end of the show. Other than that, enjoy Masters of the Air recap.
Okay.